Goedenavond, dames en heren. Goedenavond, beste kijkers, ladies and gentlemen. Dear honorary guests from abroad, but especially dear entrepreneurial minds, a warm welcome. Van harte welkom op deze Mentor Talks 2.0. Inderdaad, een offline en een online conferentie, waarbij natuurlijk vooral die innovatieve starters en die ambitieuze snelle groeiers centraal staan, georganiseerd door Netwerk Ondernemen en Started KBC. Ja, en ook zij hebben in deze moeilijke, onzekere tijden, net zoals heel veel ondernemers, hun businessplan, hun events en ambities moeten challengen en brengen ons vanavond een fantastische alternatieve versie van die Mentor Talks die eigenlijk al in maart hadden moeten plaatsvinden. Dus zet jullie schrap voor 4 geweldige sprekers. Een heel straf panel. Geloof mij, ze zijn straf hier aan tafel. We hebben ook 15 fysieke ondernemingsbubbels. Dus bij deze ook van harte welkom. En ik heb me laten vertellen dat er heel veel kijkers zijn van thuis uit. Dus maak het jullie gezellig, comfortabel. Neem een hapje en een drankje. En ondertussen gaan wij al eens kijken hoe dat de hosts in die fysieke bubbels hun gasten zo net al hebben ontvangen.
Hallo, wij zijn de PKF-VMB-bubbel in Wemmel. We zijn klaar om te starten. We wachten op een aantal mensen. We zijn momenteel met 4 en hopen snel jullie te zien. Tot straks.
Goedenavond, ik ben Mario van den Voorde, voorzitter van Netwerk Ondernemen. Ik host de bubbel in ons headquarters hier in de Lange Gasthuisstraat in Antwerpen. Alles staat klaar om er een heel leuk bubbel-event van te maken. En we gaan even ook naar buiten.
Ja.
Goedenavond, mijn naam is Patrick Hellemans en dit is de Judoka-bubbel te Mechelen.
Dus mijn naam is Jan Verdonk en mijn bedrijfje is Coëfficiënt.
Ik ben Katja Mosmans, ik werk voor Cum Laude als leiderschapscoach.
Philip Somers, advocaat en kantoor Benijd Somers, ondernemingsrecht.
Goedenavond, ik ben Linde Minke van A+ Muze.
En Joke Roels van Groeistof.
Goedenavond, ik ben Pieter Moermans van Plender.eu.
Hallo, ik ben Maarten Heermans, founder van Lab 9.
Hallo, hier Mark de Swaaf in Edegem en wij ontvangen hier een aantal interessante mensen.
Hallo, ik ben Igor Stuiver van Crowdprocessing PDF Butler.
Hallo, ik ben Noor van Our Agency.
Hallo, ik ben Isabel van de Squad.
Hallo, ik ben Nick Wouters, ook van de Squad.
Hallo, ik ben Bruno de Jager van Absolem.
Ik ben Roald Stevens van Osteokliniek.
En ik ben Mark de Swaaf van Axel. Tot straks allemaal.
Hallo, welkom op de mentorbubbel hier bij Nester in Sint Maartenslaten met onze bubbel aanwezig.
Hallo, welkom uit de bubbel van Citycubes. Ik ben Isabel Paquet en ik werk ook voor Citycubes. Ik ben hier business manager.
Hallo, ik ben Jan Goderis en ik ben mede-eigenaar van Domaniacht en werkzaam bij CIFAR.
Hallo, ik ben Tom Klaassen van Software Captains. Hallo, ik ben Janus Vermeijden van POM, medeoprichter van POM.
Goedenavond, ik ben Ruben Bastaans van Simba, onbeperkt design en redesign.
En ik ben Dieter van Citycubes en sinds een kleine 6 maanden ook van het fantastische Disinfect en creatieve duizendenpoot en enthousiaste mensen.
Hey, ik ben Denis Pilet van Fieldrive. Wij houden ons bezig met Global Event Technology.
En ik ben Gilles van Citycubes en sluit deze bubbel ook ineens af. Dag!
Live vanuit de bubbel in Hasselt op Corda.
Wauw, Nou, het ziet er alvast heel gezellig en covid-proof uit. En dat betekent dat inderdaad inspireren, connecteren, netwerken ook in een post-covid-tijd heel belangrijk blijft. Wij doen dat hier ook in onze bubbel. Wij bevinden ons namelijk in de opnamestudio Box. Dus we willen eerst en vooral al de CEO Erik Goossens bedanken voor zijn gastvrijheid en technische ondersteuning, maar natuurlijk ook als founder voor Netwerk Ondernemen. Dus dankjewel hier aan de hele crew in onze eigen bubbel. En over bubbels gesproken, we gaan toch proberen te interageren met elkaar. En dat kunnen we natuurlijk lang leven de social media doen. Dus aarzel niet om jullie gedachten, jullie inspirational thoughts, zoals ze dat zeggen, te kunnen delen op de social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. En we hebben daarvoor ook een sterke hashtag gecreëerd en dat is hashtag sterk ondernemen. Vergeet er misschien ook niet Netwerk Ondernemen en Started KBC in te taggen, maar dus die hashtag sterk ondernemen en dan vinden we elkaar zo dadelijk online wel terug. Ik denk dat ik genoeg heb gepraat, dat het tijd is om het woord te geven aan onze gasten. As from now, we would like to continue in English, ladies and gentlemen, as we are having a lot of international guests. And the first one I would like to introduce to you here at our table is Gert Gijbels, CEO of Netwerk Ondernemen. Gert, welkom.
Thank you.
We are
welcome to all of you.
Yes, a lot of lovely people here at our tables. But first, let's talk Netwerk Ondernemen. Could you briefly introduce it to us?
Yeah, Netwerk Ondernemen is a company which really focuses on social impact. We want to help entrepreneurs by mentoring, and this mentoring is done by proven entrepreneurs who've done it themselves. So over the past years, we have helped around more than 230 companies. And we are very proud to say that 98% of them are in business and are successful. So, and we do this via two programs, Mentor Me and Boost Me, where we help to scale these companies. And we do this without no strings attached, with a pay-it-forward mentality, and really entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. The only thing which we ask is really full commitment from them. And so if you think Netwerk Ondernemen, think mentoring. And together with Started at KBC, we will develop some new programs in the fall of this year, and that's the partnership which we have with Started at KBC, but which was actually also sealed by, or the marriage was done by Vlaio over the summer.
So perfect marriage with Started KBC. Yeah, you both have the paid-forward mentality, so I think that's already a winning couple. But we have the honor, ladies and gentlemen, of having the managing director of Started KBC here at our table, Anna Tomlinson. So we were talking about the benefits for startup and scales-up. What do you think would be the benefits of the joint forces between both of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So as two organizations, these two products together. So what we're bringing to market in the fall, as referenced, is a product called Market Me. It's something to support startups that are doing more sales. Also Boost Me, which is for helping them go international. We've got Mentor Me, which is kind of what it says on the tin. And then Women in Tech, which is for women who are already working in the tech field, wanting to enter the world more of being an entrepreneur and looking for support in doing that. So that's what we're working on together at the moment.
Also a little bit of girl power here at our table. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you our other panel members. We are having Thierry who's breaking the rules. We will be breaking the rules, I think, but that means that we are set and sharp for some inspirational insights. Also, Luc de Klerk will give us a very inspirational presentation. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. At our table, also Frédéric Thibault, who joined recently Agoya. You're the expert digital innovation and growth. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could say that I'm responsible for everything startup and scale-up related at Agoya, yes.
Okay, so the perfect person for sitting here at our table. And then, Gert already mentioned it, the marriage was sealed by Vlaio, Vlaams Agentschap Innoveren en Ondernemen. We're talking about Flanders innovation and entrepreneurship. Dear Bart Kandalen, what do they do exactly?
So if you start your business, the first thing that you will do is to pay taxes. If you want to know what the government can do for you in return for those taxes, you can come to Vlaio. And then we will give you coaching and advice services, and we will give you money. Money, of course, only when you innovate or invest or need advice, but the basic idea is that you can come to us and we will tell you how the government can help you grow your company.
Mm-hmm. But you have been there for a lot of entrepreneurs during this really COVID crisis, so I think most of them will know what Vlaio is doing for enterprise. So thank you very much for being here, because it's true we are facing a real crisis, not only a health crisis but also an economic one, and most of the companies are turning into hybrid solution, digital solution, technology, and I'm sure that our Flemish Minister of Economy can only applaud initiatives like this one tonight. So I would really like to give her the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, Hilde Griffiths with her video in Dutch.
Dankjewel Virginie en goeie avond allemaal. Ik ben heel blij om jullie via deze virtuele weg even te kunnen toespreken. De coronacrisis heeft heel wat zaken op scherp gesteld en vraagt van ons allemaal een groot aanpassingsvermogen. Zoals elke ondernemer moeten wij onszelf blijven heruitvinden. En het netwerkondernemen heeft die boodschap alvast heel goed begrepen. Dit unieke bubbelconcept getuigt van een heel grote wendbaarheid en creativiteit van de organisatoren. Een dikke proficiat daarvoor. Met onze Vlaamse regering werken we aan een gunstig ondernemersklimaat waarin jonge, snel groeiende en grote ondernemingen kunnen floreren. Ook in crisistijden moeten we dat gunstig ondernemingsklimaat maximaal beschermen en behouden. Maar snel groeiende ondernemingen ervaren vaak heel specifieke moeilijkheden om echt tot bloei te komen. Een sterk leiderschap en een goede interne organisatie zijn bijvoorbeeld belangrijke uitdagingen. De mentoring die netwerkondernemen aanbiedt, kan hierbij helpen. Ik geloof echt in mentorschap, in de begeleiding die nieuwelingen krijgen van ervaren rotten in het vak. Daarom heb ik voor het partnerschap tussen netwerkondernemen en Start It at KBC gekozen om de volgende 4 jaar samen met andere partners uit het Vlaio-netwerk beloftevolle ondernemers te ondersteunen in hun groei. Door die partnerschappen brengen we de dienstverlening van de Vlaamse overheid rechtstreeks naar de bedrijven. Onder het label Sterk Ondernemen bieden we begeleiding, coaching en advies aan. En dat is dus de manier waarop we de toegang tot kapitaalbronnen, internationale markten, talent, kennis, infrastructuur en technologie willen vergemakkelijken. Onze start-ups en scale-ups willen we ook op die manier nog een beetje beter verbinden met universiteiten, met speerpuntclusters en strategische onderzoekscentra. Beste mensen, jullie horen het. Ondernemers zorgen voor zuurstof voor onze economie. Hopelijk tanken jullie tijdens deze Mentor Talks voldoende zuurstof bij in de vorm van inspiratie, creativiteit en netwerking om vertrouwen en steun te krijgen voor de toekomst. Ik wil alle ondernemers, mentors en experten die hieraan meewerken bijzonder bedanken. Jullie maken van Vlaanderen een warme, ondernemende topregio. Dankjewel en veel succes.
Thank you very much, dear Minister. Thank you for setting the scene. I think that our first speaker is ready. Aurélien Demeaux, co-founder of Cheers.com and alumni of Raison Prendre in Paris, where actually Netwerk is also founder of Cheers.com. So have a look outside, just a couple of seconds. Summer is still here, so time to dive into your holiday memories and to keep them in mind, maybe in a frame, in a box, and why not in a Cheers box. The company Cheers was founded in 2012 and is indeed a photo application where customers can easily turn their pictures on their mobile phone into fun and personalized products. Well, unfortunately, due to COVID-19, he could not make it from Paris here in the studio, but he's ready on the other side and eager to share with us his insights, tips and tricks, and telling us how he turned his company into a multi-million euro turnover. We are really proud of having him here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Aurélien Demeaux.
Thank you very much, Virginie. I'm Aurélien Demeaux.
I co-founded Cheers 10 years ago with my associate Antoine indeed, and I'm going to try in the 20 minutes we have to share with you the major learnings that I take from this experience. The first thing is build a story. Build a great story. Everyone wants to follow someone who has passion, who is ambitious, sorry. So the storytelling, Americans do it very well, and we need to work on it in Europe. No one wants to follow somebody who wants to be number 2. You need to show that you want to be number 1. And if you don't say out loud that you want to be number 1, no one will say it for you. This great story, you need to serve it to investors. And at Cheers, I made 2 seed fundraise and 1 Series A fundraise. So we raised 7 million euros in total. And what I can tell you from the fundraising process, which pretty much every big business needs to go through, is first, investors are made of highly educated people who come from the best schools. They say that they want to hire and recruit and select some very innovative, exotic, original people, geniuses who can think out of the box, and that is just not true. They want to recruit some very rational people who can execute the business that they sell to them. The second thing is that they're human people, so they think with their heart. So once that you've passed the first meetings with the analysts, where they're going to crunch your data, your KPIs, the ones of your business, the ones of your market, then you get to the final rounds with the business partners. And that's where you need to touch their heart, because if you want to connect, if you want to have an impact, if you want them to remember you, then you really need to touch their heart. It's called the croc brain. It's our reptile brain. It's our heart, basically. So for example, in our business, we used to say, okay guys, do you have kids? Yes. Do you take photos of your kids sometimes? Yes, of course, we've got hundreds of photos of our kids in our phone. Do you print them sometimes? No. Okay, so when your kids turn 20 years old, are you going to give them a 200 gigabytes hard drive where they will have hundreds of thousands of photos that you've never looked at? Or would you rather give them some very nice photo books of the best moments that you've shared with them in their childhood? And so that's a way for them to embody and engage with your business. The third thing I want to say is take the maximum of cash from the venture capital firms. The dilution is pretty much the same when you make a round. It's between 20 and 33%. So you might as well just take the maximum of cash, because the adjustment is hardly ever the state that they take is nearly always the same, in that range of 20 to 33% of your capital, but the adjustment in terms of valuation can be made if you take the maximum of cash. And once you have this cash, my advice would be to put it in a sub-account so that you don't have these millions right at your hands on your bank account. And you use each euro wisely. You know, I had a teacher who used to say, revenues is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is reality. And you really need to look after your cash once you have it. Another thing that the funds would say, the VCs would say is, okay, but what are your barriers to entry? Is there some technology? Is there something? And the reality is that in our business, like in many businesses, the execution and the value chain is the key. It's the whole experience that makes it specific to order at Cheers. It's the production, it's the operation, it's the digital experience you have when you're a user, it is the customer service, it's everything that makes the experience so good. But individually taken, there is no huge technology. And a lot of firms, I think, are afraid when they hear that. And so they were saying, okay, but what if Google or what if Amazon puts a lot of money and develops a photo printing service that is so easy and so nice? What would you do? And there's no real answer to that. What can you do? I mean, they're 10 times bigger than you, but they cannot do everything. You need to have some pure players, especially on some smaller markets like the photo printing market. And at the end of the day, when Amazon started, they were selling books, you know. It's not rocket science. They were just selling books, but they did it so well that they managed to get a perfect experience. And sometimes capturing a market, which is already quite crowded, is not about being the most innovative and having the best technology. It's just providing the best experience. The Americans say retail is detail. It's making sure each step is awesome. It's 100%. Now the next chapter I want to address with you guys is international. once that you raise funds, logically the first thing that the funds want you to do and what you've sold them is internationalize, scale. Because funds take a very high risk, so they want a very high reward. And in order to get that very high reward, you often need to scale the business to a point where you need to internationalize. It's not even an option. I'm going to tell you I think the first mistake that we made when developing international is we tried to do too many countries at a time. We thought that our product in Europe, we just had to, translate our website and our app, and that we would put on some marketing and then it would follow, and we would open 3 or 4 countries that year and 5 or 6 countries the next year. And that just doesn't work that way. International is hardly, I think, the hardest thing we've done in our development, and it's still in progress. It's really, really, really hard. So do not rush international, go slowly, go easy. And my advice would be that it's much more preferable to be strong in 1 or 2 or maybe 3 countries and focus your energy and your efforts in these countries rather than opening too many countries at a time. So Cheers, for example, we're present in Spain and in Italy. It's 2 big countries we're trying to push in these countries, and it's already quite big. When you're a startup, addressing 2 big countries like this, it needs a lot of resources and a lot of efforts and a lot of money. So that's the first piece of advice I would give you. And then the second one is you need to localize your experience. You absolutely need to localize your experience, because what I've found is the biggest barrier to international business in Europe is people's mind. I'm in e-commerce, for example, and if we're selling, for example, in Poland, in Portugal, in Spain, in Italy, and people feel that we're not in their country, they're probably going to buy at somebody who's local. Everybody prefers local because business is the same for 3,000 years. It's trust. And if you're in Belgium, for example, and you're buying something, you'd rather buy something which is in Belgium rather than buying it from somewhere else, even if it's in France, in Germany, or in Italy. Because buying online is already quite recent in the end. So if you buy online, you want to make sure that everything is going to be okay. And if you know that the product is coming from far away, that's going to create a bit of anxiety for you maybe. So localize your experience. Unless you're French and you sell some champagne or some foie gras, it's good to say that you're French, but otherwise you need to show that you are local. Last point regarding international, I would say is it's very difficult to scale internationally. So if you want to really develop business in a country and you have associates, I'd say that if one of the associates can go locally, be in the country, it probably facilitates things. The other question is organization. I think the organization must be transformed in order to serve the countries that you are targeting. Because otherwise what happens, we are in France, for example, we're based in Paris, everybody speaks French, so naturally we are going to make things great for French people. But if we really want to develop in Spain and in Italy, we need to make our product very, very localized and personalized for these countries. And for that, we need the right organization with the right country managers. We need the right resource and energy to have the best product for these countries. The next thing I want to talk to you is entrepreneur life balance. It's a bit of a roller coaster. You go through a lot, you face many new situations, and it can create anxiety and it can be tough. First thing is, I guess a lot of you have associates. I am fortunate enough to have an associate myself. And the paradox is that when you don't have an associate and you're on your own, it's really, really hard. You are carrying all the weight on your own shoulders. But on the other hand, if you have associates, I've seen many, many businesses break because of associates conflicts. So if you have associates, you really need to grow your relationship with your associates. You need to have rituals. You need to see them often. For example, with my own associate, we lunch every Tuesday and we grab some drinks every month. And these are moments outside of work where we can make sure that there is nothing is unsaid, and we put everything on the table. So I would only encourage you to have these rituals and to do that yourself, to cherish your relationship with your associates, because that's the backbone of the business, the founder's relationship. Then another thing I would say is you need to grow your organization. Your organization needs to grow, it needs to evolve, it needs to change and adapt over the years, whether you recruit many people or not, by the way. And growing the organization is really not easy. You need to be bold enough to be able to challenge it. And we often had the help of coaches, mentors, and they really helped us in shaping the right organization at the right time. And every year for the past 10 years, we've been challenging and changing the organization. And huge businesses do the same, by the way. It's just a natural thing to do. Nobody has the perfect organization. It's like a football team, basically. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is stress and anxiety. It can create. I experienced a lot of stress and anxiety. I couldn't sleep for some time because I was facing a lot, and I was thinking, okay, I get like too many bullets at a time coming at me. And I've had a personal coach. I've had 2 or 3, and that really helps. And the second thing on a personal level that helps is seeing other entrepreneurs who face these difficulties in these situations. We are part with my associate of Réseau Entreprendre, which is a network of French entrepreneurs here in Paris. And we have been meeting for 4 or 5 years. We have been meeting with a group of, let's say, 15 entrepreneurs, and every month we had a lunch with a round table where everybody was trying to help each other on their different matters. And by the way, that's how I met Gert, is through Réseau Entreprendre. So I would encourage you to be part of not many groups like this, but at least 1 or 2, so that you can feel that other people are facing the same difficulties as you are. Entrepreneurs tend to say of their business when they're speaking publicly that everything is fine and it's great and it's awesome and growth is there and so on, so forth, so on. So it's also good to have the backdoor conversation where they can actually say the reality, and you can actually cross-check that you unfortunately have the same reality, but everybody has. Now, I want to go back to one of the big mistakes I think that we made. In 2015, when we made our Series A, a 6 million euros fundraising, the plan basically was to scale and to recruit a lot of people, just like what you do after any Series A. And the mistake we made is that we didn't recruit a human resource manager. We did the recruiting ourselves. And I think that was a big mistake, because we had to recruit 20 people in less than a year. And people and talent is of course the most valuable thing that you have in your company. And so you need to attract the best people. But when you're in your rush and you don't have an HR person to actually select the profiles, do the interviews, screen the market and so on, you tend to recruit not the best guys. And that's just what happened to us. I think we recruited too fast and we had too many people that we let in because we thought, okay, we need somebody now, and we can't be bothered to just go and screen the market. So if I was to do it again, I would recruit definitely an HR manager right after the Series A, because the whole point about scaling is recruiting the right people. The second thing I would do differently is an offsite team retreat, you call it whatever you want, with all the company to strengthen the culture and the bonds between people. We did that only last year. So after 9 years nearly, we did our first team retreat. We went to Morocco with the whole team, everybody, more than 100 people, and we had an amazing time. We had amazing parties, we had great moments together, and I think that really helped strengthening the bonds of everybody in the company. So if you can make as many moments as these, of course maybe not going to Morocco, not going very far, but you can go to many places and have good moments during 2 or 3 days. It's definitely not time wasted. It's definitely time that you invest in the culture and in the team building, basically. So I would recommend you to do so. Cherish your values, cherish your culture. That's why people work for you, that's why people work in your company and not in your competitor's company. Here in Paris, it's highly competitive. We have many startups, Doctolib, Algolia, Payfit, Allen, maybe you've heard of these names. And they have raised tons of money, and they can pay a lot. They have great offices, so they are very big competitors who can recruit people in the market. So you need to show people that the atmosphere in your company is just the best one, and they're going to be very happy working for you. And I won't go on values and culture, because I think that's a rather very popular subject and topic in the startups ecosystem at the moment. But you know how important it is. And then there is the profile of people that you're recruiting. When you are scaling a startup, you need a certain profile. Of course, you need good people, like I said, but you need doers, you need makers, you need people who can make it happen. And I usually say to people, the best way to do it is to do it. So maybe sometimes consultants are not made to join startups because they won't really be able to do and deliver, and this is what counts the most at an early stage of a company. Okay, the last point I want to talk about is the exit deal that we made with CV. CV is the leading European player on our market, and we sold the company to CV in 2018, and that was quite a big step for us. All in all, the negotiations lasted 9 months, so that's quite long. I would advise, if you go into some M&A process, to get some advisors, especially when in an exit deal such as the one that we've been through, because it sort of buffers the negotiations, and it helps, because after all the negotiation phase, you need to work hand in hand with these people. And if the negotiation is too tense, too fighty, then it can leave some scars, and it can be hard to actually work hand in hand with these people. And so we did have some advisors, and the discussions was always constructive, and we managed that the deal went through. We also had another option, which was raising funds. We were in the process of raising a Series B fundraise, and I think that was quite reassuring for us, because we knew in that process that we were in a dual track with fundraising or selling to CV. Selling to CV was our first option, but we knew that we had options and we had alternatives. Another thing is that every market is a small market in the end. So you need to speak to your competitors, go to fairs, make yourself visible in order to create opportunities to speak to people, and that's how eventually we managed to speak to CV, and we realized that there were some synergies in our values, in our mission, in our objectives, and we wanted to work together. When you make a deal like this, the board of the acquirer, well, all the top management, they're very eager to make synergies. They're very motivated, and they clearly see, okay, we integrate Cheers, we can make some production for them, we can actually mutualize all the cost of the packaging and logistics and so on, and so we're going to improve their P&L, and they're clear synergies, okay. But the people who actually realize these synergies and make them happen are the middle managers. And the middle managers, they have a roadmap, they have objectives, and they have other fishes to fry, that rather than just helping Cheers. So you need to go there, go see them, engage with them, communicate with them, and make sure that you create a relationship, and that takes time. The last point maybe on that deal was that we were quite worried with my associate Antoine, we were quite worried about the impact it would have on the culture and on the people in our company. What would they think? Would they think, okay, we are going with a big corporate company, so now we're not a startup anymore? And we were really worried about this, so we communicated a lot. We've been promoting CV also internally, and I think that's important. And at the end of the day, we have the same team, we have the same brand, we have the same office, so it doesn't change a lot for the people working here at Cheers. Now on the relationship with CV, we are with very straight and honest people, and of course business is the same for the past 3,000 years. It's trust, and that, you know, that honesty is a big help, I would say. And I'm saying this because the first 100 days, I would say, just like after a French presidential election, the first 100 days are really important, I think. It's the moment where you need to show to the acquirer that you sold something that you can actually realize. And we put a lot of effort with Antoine to be very available during these 100 days, and to make sure that we're putting all the energy that we had into making what we said during the negotiation phase really happen. Thank you very much, everyone, and back to you, the studio in Belgium. Bye-bye.
And thank you very much, Aurélien, for sharing these valuable insights about co-founding, about going international, about recruiting and having the entrepreneurial life-work balance. Gert, when I think about this presentation, I'm thinking of co-founding. Was it a misunderstanding if Aurélien said it can be a success, it is important, and on the other hand, it can be a pitfall? Do you agree? And how do you support, for example, the founders in that?
Yeah, I think it's clearly part of the success. I mean, having the right co-founder is so essential. I mean, most of the successful companies have 2 or 3 co-founders who are very well aligned. And sometimes when they're not aligned, and when, for example, one wants to go for the quick cash and the other one wants to change the world, yeah, then this can really slow down a company and even crash a company. So we will also start in the fall with a new program, Find Your Co-Founder, and it's not an application or an app. We don't want to be the Tinder of it, but we really want to be a marriage agency where we help them with the dating, find the right partner, really with also the engagement period. I think you really need to have 6 months to get to know each other, and then a marriage with clear agreements, with a marriage contract saying how is the exit and everything, and that's part of a success, having the right co-founder, according to me.
And being guided in that journey, of course. Maybe when we talk about going international, Frederik, then I look at you at Agoria. How do you support the startups and scale-ups in going international, for example?
Oh, well, where should I start? No, seriously, we have a lot of programs to help startups and scale-ups with their internationalization. One of them being Scale Up Vlaanderen. It's our own guidance program for scale-ups that we relaunch next week, together with our partners IMEC, iStart and Siris. We're also supported by Flyo for this, by the way, so thank you. And in that program, we focus heavily on internationalization, so we will have several international missions with Belgian startups and scale-ups. We have specific coaching programs for startups and scale-ups that are focused solely on internationalization. We have masterclasses on internationalization. And also, interestingly, we developed a Belgian internationalization canvas with different playbooks that cater to different stages startups and scale-ups are in. So if you're in the pre-internationalization phase, or if you're in a phase that's a bit further, we have a specific playbook that can guide you through and that can give you the right steps to follow. Next to that, of course, Agoria also has technology clubs. We have 7 technology clubs around topics such as fintech, digital health, energy tech, and those clubs are basically international networks where we promote Belgian technology. So, and also we bring our Belgian startups and scale-ups in contact with corporates all over the world. So those technology clubs really are promotional business clubs and that promote Belgian technology abroad. So those are a few of the things Agoria does, and of course all the big technology companies that are active in Belgium, also the foreign ones, are a member of Agoria, so it's easy to get in touch with them when you're in our network as well.
Well, it sounds great, doing a lot of things. Maybe we can find more information on the website, but I also have the impression that there is a lot of synergy and networking here also at the table, so that's great.
That's the goal. Yep.
Another thing that surprised me, maybe, Luc, you're the right person to help me out, is that Aurélien mentioned, I made one mistake. I was going too fast and in too many countries.
Yeah, that's indeed the pitfall that you get into, because you get very excited about your product technology. You think, everybody can use this, so you go out there, but it's really important to be selective, to first of all do your homework, but then also feel the market and be selective. Don't try and do, as already said, don't try to do 3 countries at one time. It won't work. Do one at a time, learn from it, and then try accelerate later on. Your first international experiences are really key, so don't go too fast there. That's indeed very true.
Don't go too fast. But the right person to tell us more about that is the one who went abroad for work, ladies and gentlemen. Our next speaker, Thierry Bouffiot, went to US, Canada, to South Africa, to Middle East, to Asia and Europe. And I think we can call him a provocative advisor. You will see right away what I mean, because he strongly believes that the glorification of entrepreneurship and that events like Failing Forward or fuck-up nights, if I can mention them, are only contributing to a higher failure rate of startups. So I think it's time to give him the floor and to see how we really can reduce the failure rate of startups. Ladies and gentlemen, Thierry Bouffiot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction. Yes, provocative. Why provocative? I mean, to be honest, I tend to agree with everything we have said so far. It's always the same. It's always like, you know, you are an entrepreneur, you are happy in your life, and then you're going to change the world, right? But it's also sexy. And sometimes, and people recognize me that I'm saying it's too sexy today to be an entrepreneur. Why is it too sexy to be an entrepreneur? I mean, think about it, right? In the 90s, it was sexy to be an investor or an investment banker. In the 90s, it was very sexy to be a consultant, right? And then came the kind of the startup wave, beginning of the year 2000, and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Today, it's even worse. Today, it's even more sexy to be a business angel than to be an entrepreneur. So the part of the thing is like, entrepreneur is not something you invented. It's not something you can do by yourself. It's like, you know, it's like being an entrepreneur is like, boom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to be successful. No. I'm always taking this example as a pilot, which is a very, you know, not basic, but let's say simple kind of work. You learn, right? Then you practice, then you're a pilot. But you know what? You don't have the right to fail. You know? If you fly next week on any place in the world on any plane, the pilot has no right to fail, right? Let's take another example. Let's take a doctor. You know, like a doctor, same thing. You study again, right? At least 7 years. Then you study again, and then you practice. But then, when you are a doctor, Do you have right to fail? No, you don't have the right to fail. So, it's not that I'm against fuck-up nights or that I'm against this event which actually promoting, learning from failures. But what I'm actually advocating is like, you don't need to fail for the normal failures. You will need only to fail as an entrepreneur for the small 5 or 10% of risk that you are ready to take to innovate, to disrupt, or to do something different than the industry. If you fail only for this kind of 5% of specific risk that you take, okay. But my issue is like 99% of the people failing are failing because they are not doing a business case correctly. They don't have enough cash flow. They don't start their funding round on time. So that's why I'm saying it's too sexy today to call yourself an entrepreneur without actually knowing what to be an entrepreneur, how to be an entrepreneur. I prefer to say like, surf on your success instead of actually learn from your failures. Surf on your success, build some success, and and with your success comes the reputation. With the reputation comes the next success, right? So this being said, we can try to do something which is very simple. Everything that has been said so far in the last hour, and certainly by Aurélien, it's always about 3 fundamentals. 3 fundamentals of the entrepreneurship. What are these 3 fundamentals of the entrepreneurship? It's always, Gert said it also, it's all about you. It's about you. When I say you, it's the entrepreneur and his team. And of course, it's the alignment of the entrepreneur together. If one wants to go right and the other one wants to go left, you have an issue. If one wants to sell the company and the other one wants to change the world, you have an issue. You're right. So first of all, it's about the entrepreneur itself. The entrepreneur is skills, is knowledge. He needs to be able to be the best in what he wants to do. I have loads of people coming to me and saying, Thierry, could you please invest in my company? And they say, okay, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to do a new parking app. Okay? Do you like parking? No. Do you like car? No. Do you know anything about traffic? No. Do you know anybody at the city? No. But why do you want to do a parking app? Oh, because there is a big market. Just a big market. is not a good reason to actually build a company around a parking app. So what I'm trying to say here, is that the first thing you need to have is you need to have like not only skills, knowledge, but also a kind of a passion about what you want to put in, on the market. When you know it better, you will be better than somebody else. When you know it, you will be better than somebody else. So the entrepreneur and his team is the most fundamental key of success for any startup. And when I say startup, for any company, right? Even a corporate, if you see the result of a corporate and you change the management team, you have like completely different team, different result, different financials. Take GE Capital today, or take any of the big companies which just changed management. So the first thing is about the you and about the team. The second thing, it's about the business model, not the business plan, not an Excel sheet when you do projections about how much money you can make. It's about the business model. How do you create value for which segments over time? So over time is very important. It means that the business model, not like a business plan, is actually moving. If you have a new player coming into your market, how do you move? Today, with COVID, how do you move? Do you keep doing what you have done last year, or do you change completely what you do? Do you do a mix? Do you wait and you do nothing for 6 months? Do you take money from the government and you wait, or you change your business model? Or you keep your business model and you make it digitalized? So business model is key, not business plan, business model. Okay? Just making sure that you understand what business model is. And the last part is the network. We said it 1,500 times. Today, in this world, everything is done through network. Being digital sales or being sales, being funding or raising money, being building your reputation and your image. Everything is done by the network. And even again, in this period, the network is even more important. You know what? Without any network, I would not be here speaking to you and also making some money about what I'm doing, right? So it's about network, network, network. And these three fundamentals, the you and your team, the alignment of your team, the business model and how you're actually creating value in the future, and the network are the fundamental pillars which will be always the same and will always drive the value of your company in terms of actually creating what you want to create. So it's not about being sexy because you're an entrepreneur. It's not being like the best of the world of want to do something. It's about actually, just making sure you prepare, making sure you learn the skills from A to Z about what you need to build, and then using it to build a business model together with your partners and leverage your business model through the network and to the partner. I'm always saying also it's the art of being bought. You're not selling yourself, you're being bought. It's the art of somebody who wants to have your product instead of actually trying to push your product. Pushing is marketing. Marketing is a lot of money. If you want to create a new service and you want to push your service into any market, it will cost so much money that you need to do only funding for the next 5 years. So it's not about pushing, it's about pulling. It's about creating this kind of trends, this kind of stream towards your product and not the opposite. So I'm not sure how much time do I have still, but okay. So the thing is if you concentrated on these three pillars, which is 1, you and your team, 2, your business model, and 3, your network, these are the fundamentals that you need to be able to be successful. It's not about being able to speak about it. It's not about able to say, hey, I have an issue and I want to share it. No. Something which has been said a number of times also is that you need to go and take some advice. Yes, you need to take some advice. So a lot of people are coming to me and saying, you know what, Thierry, tell me about this market, or tell me about how to do international, or tell me about this. So every single expert on this market of mentor, and that's what I like with this kind of network like we are working today, is that you have all these mentors ready to help you on a specific set of skills. So you don't need to do everything by yourself. You need to put yourself into a kind of a, I want to learn. And if I want to learn, I want to be able to talk to somebody who knows something about this particular subject. I think Aurélien said it very, very well. He made some mistake because he likes to do it, and I agree with him, like the only value of a startup is never in the idea. The idea is worth nothing until you actually execute it and you do it. But you have a lot of people having done before you the different stages of your company at the moment that you need to do. When you need to raise money, there is a lot of people also here, also in Belgium, who raised a lot of money. You know, asking for advice and asking for help from network, but also directly from other entrepreneurs is crucial to be successful. Making sure that you have like a very good atmosphere on your team. Aurélien also said the same thing. It's like spending some money or spending some time to build the right team will always be the most important criteria of success. The rest is, I mean, it's not about product marketing, it's not about pricing, it's not about having the best product in the world, it's about the whole glue between 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And finally, I want to tell you a small story. The difference between the American and the European, you know, and in Europe, we will build the best and the most beautiful car in the world. It's called a Ferrari, right? It's red, beautiful, but very expensive. And you tell the sales guys, hey, you know what? The engineer, you know, European engineer, they go to the sales guys and they say, I have built the best car in the world, right? No, because it's the best car in the world and it's red, it's easy to sell. So go on the market and sell the Ferrari, right? Very, very complicated for the guy because the customer maybe like green. That's why sometimes, no, you have even Ferrari which are not in red, right? Not because of the Ferrari engineer, because of the customers. Now, what's happening in the US? People are building a tire, right? They sell the tire, they make some profit, and with the profit, they sell the next part of the car. So the big difference is that instead of actually wanting to do a service of a product which is from A to Z, what you think is the best for the market, why not doing pieces by pieces? Go to the market, get the feedback and the money, and raise the money for the next stages to actually build your next product. And build your next product until you have a car that you can actually customize to your client. If you have a car, which is a model that you can customize to all the different segments, you don't need to sell only a Ferrari. By the way, when I'm telling you a Ferrari, everybody has an image of a Ferrari. Always the same image of a Ferrari. If I say a Chrysler, which one? If I say Volkswagen, you say which one, right? You don't know which, you don't have the same image of a product. It's both brand name of a car, right? So the big difference is like if you try, you go to the market, you get the feedback, and then you do it again. This experience is fundamental to have success and to be able to build your business model, to create value, not only for the engineer, not only for the shareholder, but for the people who are actually buying it. And that's make a difference. That's really make a big difference about, you know, all the company will work differently. Your startup will be different if you actually go to the market and then come back instead of actually trying to build the best service or the best product in the world and then tell your sales guys, go and sell it, right? There is a lot of different, of course, let's say, examples of this. And for me, the best example is, of course, so far it was good. Now, I mean, if I'm talking about Booking.com, everybody will tell me, oh, Booking.com, you know, like the bad company today, right? But Booking.com, they did a very interesting thing. They were the first one, even before the Googles, to actually doing A/B testing. They were actually sending signals to any of their customers, changing some small things on their website, from the color of the website to the size of the font of the different advertising they do, just to look at the reaction, and then seeing, analyzing, and using the data to actually having the best product, not the best product from the engineering, the best product for the people buying it. And that's why a Booking.com size could be completely different in France, in Germany, or in Asia, right? So I think, once again, this is very important, is like, one, your team is the most fundamental thing that you have in your startup. Being able to have the glue, to have the alignment, to have today the resilience during this COVID, and to have like this you know, these strengths about the team is fundamental. The business model is crucial. If you don't have a business model, you can have the best team in the world, you will never be able to execute, and if you're not able to execute, you will not get your next round of funding. And if you don't get your next round of funding, you better go and do something else. And the last one is the network. Why not building your network every day? I'm always saying that also. I mean, there is like hundreds of ways to actually building your network every day. At the end of the day, the value, or your own value, for the company and from your own company will be multiplied and leveraged by your own network. So be brave. I know it's not easy. Certainly no, in this COVID-19 situation. And I know we have to be patient, because I mean, certainly for me, you know, some of the startup and some of the way of doing things are more or less impacted by COVID. But if you are a sales guy, or if you need to go international and to meet people, to sell companies, or to do M&A, today it's not easy. So I recognize that. So you need to be patient, but you have to be brave, and you have to be focused on the fundamentals of your business. And I hope you will be successful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Thierry, for sharing this with us. It is indeed about doing the right things and doing things right. So maybe, yeah, Bart, I can start with you, because we were talking about failure. If we talk about failure, do you think that is something discussable? Is it still a stigma? Do you at Flyers support the failing forward attitude? How is it?
Well, the whole idea behind failing forward was not dare to fail, but it was dare to start. In Flemish culture, we are afraid of all kinds of risks, so people didn't really start businesses very fast. The whole idea is that you start well prepared, that you, as you said, you find the coaching you need, you make your business model and your business plan, and you follow up on the business plan as you start your business. And when it doesn't work out, when you fail, you evaluate and dare to restart. So the whole idea, maybe we have to rebrand it, of failing forward, is to starting forward, or to restart forward. And in that, I completely agree with what Thierry has said.
Yes, well, yes, of course. The way I'm saying it is exactly the same as saying you need to pivot or to pivot, like they say in the Anglo-Saxon countries. When you realize that you're going to go in the world, before you go in the world, I think that's the art. The art is that before you go into the world, then you have to pivot and to change the business model, so to adapt yourself and your organization to be able to restart or kick off again. Mm-hmm. But for me, there is a difference between restarting in the same type of company without failing and then having the rates that we have today. And we have to be honest, if you look even at the number of companies starting and then stopping, so like, you know, like stop, finish, the rate is too high, is really too high today.
Can you learn to be an entrepreneur, according to you?
Okay, that's a very good question. That's a very good question, because we had this discussion before. And then, you know, being commercial engineer or being like MBA and so forth, you seems to work and you seems to learn all the economics and all the let's say, the fundamentals of actually, you know, doing a business. But no, actually, you learn the fundamentals to work in a team or to work within, you know, another, you know, like circle of skills, and then apply your own skills of what you have there. But there is you can contradict me, but I didn't see a lot of schools today where you really learned to be an entrepreneur. There is a few, but also there, I mean, it's not at university. So, for example, for the Belgian mentality, you know, you want your kids to go to university, right? You don't want your kids to say, hey, Pap, I'm 18 and, you know, I'm going to start my own company and then I'll see if I go to the university. It's not in our culture yet. But it's true that I miss a little bit a kind of entrepreneurship, really education, like we have for the pilot or for the doctor.
But of course, you can learn to be an entrepreneur. That's the whole idea behind these coaching and advice services, that you can learn to be an entrepreneur.
By doing it.
And of course, our educational system could do more to learn people to be an entrepreneur or to have an entrepreneurial spirit. But we have business schools, we have the Sintra, we have you, and we have him. So, of course, you can learn it.
The entrepreneurship also had a bad reputation in Belgium. When I was a little boy, the entrepreneur par exemple was Boma from FC de Kampioen. I mean, and he was a bit of a fraud. So entrepreneurs in Belgium still, we need to change that culture. I think we need to change that mentality.
And everybody can call himself an entrepreneur. Nobody can call himself a doctor. But everybody can call himself entrepreneur today.
But they become rock stars more and more also.
And that's my problem.
But
that's saying too sexy. That's being too sexy. That not only you call yourself entrepreneur, but then with this name you get the aura. Oh wow.
But they are sexy because they are helping to solve societal problems.
Okay,
and you can be sexy for that if you solve climate change and.
No, but it's true that the reasons of the startup now. No, we're not talking about really the entrepreneur itself, but the reasons of actually starting new business. And that's what I'm saying. If you take a risk to do something which is completely innovation in terms of being finance, being climate change, being, of course, you are seen as, oh, this guy is trying to do something different or he's trying to do something better, which is good, but trying to do something better, for me, it's not enough. It's not enough to say, I'm trying to do something better, because if I'm trying to do something, but I don't know anything about it, I'm not going to be successful about it. And you can say, yeah, you're trying to do something about it, so it's nice. But at the end of the day, we consume, and we had a lot of analysis, right, in Belgium, we consume a lot of human resource capital on financial capital and so forth for our startup with, I'm sorry to say so, not as much result as we want yet.
So we should oblige them going through all the partners sitting here at the table. So sorry to interrupt you. As you can see, we have a lot of food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. But look, I just wanted to address you before the break one more question, because you were aware of the fact of the stigma of failures. Your mentee, for example, he also had to deal with a failure. How do you experience that?
That was a very intense period, both for him, but also myself, because I also felt very involved as a mentor in this situation. That was very intense, but I think he did the right thing. He thought about it and said, was there something wrong with the business plan? Was something wrong with the business model? Did I have the wrong customers? Did I have the wrong team? What was the analysis? And in less than 48 hours, he made the analysis that, look, I'm going to start again. Because it was just about miscasting in the team. All the rest was fine, so he started again. So I think he will succeed. But he went through a very intense period because everything was on the line. His house, his car, everything was on the line. But he made an analysis very quickly over a cup of coffee and said, look, this is my analysis. Do you agree? I said, go for it. If that's your analysis, I agree with you. And he will go for it again.
And what I like in that is that, like I said, I think you need to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because if you are in your own business, it's very difficult, like the myopy, whatever, it's very difficult to really analyze your business and say, hey, it's only this that I need to change. You need some help from outsiders to say, do you think you do a good cash flow model there, or do you, or that your team, or maybe this guys in your team is actually, unbalancing the rest of the team?
Yeah.
You need somebody outside your team to be able to tell you that in front.
Yes, well, it makes sense. Thank you very much. Or as Disney's Wadley said, failure is something you can avoid by doing nothing, saying nothing, or being nothing. But that's not what we want to be. So I think we can conclude the first part of this Mentor Talks, ladies and gentlemen. For those in the bubble, time to enjoy some bits and bytes, thanks to our founders, Jar, and our daily bottle. Also, they experience working with Netwerk Ondernemen and started KBC. And it is, in fact, Danielle from Jar who will explain to us what you will be eating in your bubble over there and how she experienced working with Netwerk Ondernemen en Started KBC. Dus we gaan er even tussenuit. We zien elkaar voor deel 2 en dat om 8:30. So we see each other back for the second part at 8:30. Enjoy the break and we see each other soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Hallo, ik ben Danielle Verhulst en ik ben founder van JAR, Funky Food for the Healthy Soul. JAR is een gezond en innovatief lunchconcept voor bedrijven en hun werknemers, geleverd op de werkvloer in glazen jars, dus glazen bokalen eigenlijk. Dus we staan eigenlijk voor een duurzaam lunchconcept, B2B naar bedrijven toe en op evenementen. Omdat ik vond dat er echt wel nog een gat in de markt was op vlak van gezonde, maar ook lekkere voeding op de werkvloer. En heel wat bedrijven zijn toch wel op zoek naar innovatieve alternatieven voor die klassieke lunch, voor de typische belegde broodjes. Dus vandaar eigenlijk het idee. En daarnaast willen we ook echt die beleving, die experience overbrengen. Het zit ook in glazen bokalen, dus duurzaamheid staat ook echt centraal bij ons, is heel belangrijk. En we willen die samenhorigheid, het samen lunchen met je team, toch ook wel benadrukken. In plaats van snel achter je bureau een broodje te verorberen, is het dus te belangrijker om gezond en tegelijk ook lekker te kunnen lunchen. En daarnaast leveren we JAR ook op evenementen, waar die experience, die beleving toch wel heel belangrijk is. Shake it before you eat it en heel convenient, gemakkelijk overal op te eten terwijl je netwerkt, babbelt en je hebt ook iets lekkers en gezonds binnen. Dus dat is een beetje de twee pijlers waar we op inzetten met JAR. Ikzelf ben JAR gestart op 1 april 2017. Ik was al een tijdje aan het broeden op een plan, op een business idee. En ik heb dat eigenlijk stap voor stap onder de radar uitgewerkt. Op de trein, op weg van mijn werk naar huis. En dan heb ik eigenlijk de sprong gewaagd en heb ik gedurfd om het stap voor stap uit te rollen. En dat is wonderwel mede dankzij Start KBC gelukt. Dus ik ben heel kleinschalig begonnen, heel kleine stapjes genomen. Maar al snel merkte ik in het eerste jaar dat het super heavy was om alles zelf te runnen. Dus ik deed alles van het kookproces tot het verzinnen van gerechtjes, naar de winkel gaan, recepturen ontwikkelen, het leveren, marketing, strategie, sales, you name it. En dan merkte ik al snel dat ik wel nood had aan een partner of een vernoot. En zo is Alison op mijn pad gekomen. En zij is verantwoordelijk voor alles van productie en alles wat het deel food betreft. Samen ontwikkelen we ook wel receptjes en creaties, zijn we samen creatief, dus dat is wel heel leuk. En ik trek me eigenlijk minder aan nu van het keukengedeelte en ik focus me meer op sales en marketing. En nu zijn we inmiddels 2,5 jaar bijna bezig. Voor mij stonden die 2 trajecten eigenlijk gelijk aan groeien. Enerzijds op vlak van netwerk die uitbreidt, je groeit, want je komt in contact met tal van experts, mentoren, start-ups, scale-ups, founders van andere bedrijven. Anderzijds kan je business ook sneller groeien, doordat je eigenlijk binnen je handbereik een tal van experts en mentoren ter beschikking hebt die je kunnen helpen op vlak van sales, marketing, pricing, boekhouding, finance enzovoort. Dus je kan eigenlijk heel snel, veel sneller schakelen. Ik heb tal van workshops mogen bijwonen omtrent pricing, finance, marketing, sales. En tot slot is het ook wel heel leuk omdat het een kans is om je product en jezelf, je business te kunnen voorstellen zoals vanavond. We hebben enkele hapjes voorzien. Deze zijn tot stand gekomen tijdens de corona, want we hebben tal van apero-boxen voorzien voor particulieren en ook voor bedrijven. Dus dat zijn enkele proevertjes, bestsellers die we wel leuk vonden om ook aan jullie voor te stellen. En daarnaast kunnen we genieten van de Full of Good jar. En dat is eigenlijk een beetje typisch Belgische jar met krielaardappel, een salsa verde. Er zit ook een mieriksworteldressing bij. gepofte tomaat, radijs, gepekelde rode ui en een hardgekookt eitje.
Yeah. saw you from the beginning. You were clearly out of my league. You didn't look at where I was standing. I thought that we would never meet. But here we are now, two restless souls, lost in a room full of strangers. Oh, I wanna wash that sad look from your face, and maybe you can keep me away from dangers. Let's sneak out together, baby. Oh, and spend some time, just you and me. I wanna set you free when no one else is there to see. Everybody knows you're a lady, yeah. But your eyes are telling me that there is more to see. Let's make our own destiny. Let's sneak out together, baby. Please, baby. This evening will soon be over, and we'll be back in the roles we play. All always caught in the charades of life, longing for a sweeter day. But this can be our moment. Let's seize it here and now. Let's leave this room full of strangers. Oh, you wash this sad look from my face, and I'll keep you away from dangers. Let's think out together, baby. Oh, and spend some time just you and me. I wanna set you free when no one else is there to see. Everybody knows you're a lady. Hey, but your eyes keep telling me that there is more to see. Let's make our own destiny. Let's sneak out together, baby. Yeah, it's all I wanna do. Oh, hey, hey, I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Oh, I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Hey, never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Oh.
Hallo.
Welkom terug. Hopelijk hebben jullie genoten van een verkwikkende pauze thuis of in jullie bubbels. We hadden ook Danielle met Jar die heel wat lekkers voor ons voorbereid heeft. Haar filmpje haperde namelijk een beetje de charmes van het live gaan. Maar we hebben Danielle en we kunnen u ook alvast verzekeren dat we dus het filmpje ook online op de YouTube gaan zetten. Dus daar kunnen jullie zeker terug een kijkje gaan nemen. So talking about food and energy, I hope you took some energy for the second part of the presentations because the time is now for a power lady, a power woman, a real serial entrepreneur. In fact, she started designing her app at a table at home, and now she's one of the most influential brand builders, designers, and female entrepreneurs. So I would like to introduce to you from Sweden to Susanne Bergensdotter. Hallo, welkom Susanne.
Hello Belgium, and thank you for the introduction, Virgin. I'm so happy to be part of this event, and it's hosted by, okay, I think I can say this, Network, Ondernemers, and started by AKBC. So my name is Susanne Bergensdotter, as you can see here, and I'm a Swedish entrepreneur. For a few years ago, I started my business in tech, and this is the story that I want to share with all of you. 8 years ago, my daughter came home, and she had a really hard time learning her math table. And as any good parent, of course, I wanted to help her out. But I didn't really know how. And she had her phone, and she had her iPad, and she asked me, can you help me find a really good app? The thing is that we couldn't find an app that could help her. So I was thinking maybe I can make one on my own. And for me, that was actually quite hard from the beginning, because I have never ever built any apps before, and I have never been in the tech company. But you can always do whatever you want to do today with everything on the internet. So I googled how to make an app. That was it was both easy, but it was also hard, because out there are so many people that say that they can help you when you're outsourcing. So I had to interview so many people before I could hire them. And I couldn't afford to hire them in Stockholm, Sweden, so I really had to find them and outsource it. But I did. So I hired my programmer from Ukraine, and my developer from Nepal, and the girl who was sketching, she was coming from Poland. We were sitting down at my kitchen table at my home and started to talk about how can we make this app. And we did. And after 3 months, I could launch Kids Matthew. And we were so proud that we actually had been building this great app. And especially for me, since I had no experience in building apps or in tech. After this, I was thinking, maybe I should do more apps, because I didn't just want to have one app. I wanted to have a whole app company. And I wanted to build apps in different sectors, because people asked me so many times, why don't you just focus on building one app and promote that one and try to make money on it? And I was like, why should I when I can have an app company? So I did, and together with this team, we actually did 14 more apps in 1 year. And one of them went to the first place on App Store. And that was the app 5-2 Health Diet. I had a friend, and she called me one day and she said, do you know it's a new diet out? And as you probably know, everybody loves new diets. And the first thing I was thinking about was, I wonder if this guy who made this diet have an app. And he didn't. And he was going to come to Sweden to sign his book in August. And then I was thinking, maybe I should try to do the app, and then I can launch the app the same day that he's landing here in Sweden. And I did. And after 2 days, I had more than 250 subscribers on that app. And it went like this. So I was in the front of the magazines every month here in Sweden, and people started to talk about me as the app queen. And the funny part was that I didn't have any background in building apps. And the big companies, they were also looking at me and they said, okay, so we have teams that is trying to build apps and really hard to get to the first place on App Store. So what did she do? This girl, she was working from home, from a kitchen table, and she had an app that climbed the first place on App Store. And the thing is that I was brave. I was brave enough to take the step out into a world that I had no idea about. As I said before, it was quite hard because some of the people, they were congratulating me, and some people, they were like, how can she do this? What is the thing behind this? Does she have lots of programmers that is helping her? Is she really the one coming up with the ideas? But it was me. And the team I had at that time was the best team I could ever have. And today, when I'm mentoring and coaching startups, I always say that you can't do things like this on your own. You always need to surround yourself with people that has the skills that you don't have. After that, I wanted to hire my programmer from Ukraine. So he came to Sweden with his family. And he and I, we were sitting down at the same kitchen table and we were thinking, what can we do now? I mean, we did actually made an app that went to the first place in app stores. So it was like, okay, so what's the next big thing for us now? And then we were thinking, maybe we can do like an app game or something. And again, this was something that I had never done before. And what kind of app game can we do? And I said to him, I want to make something that everybody can play. If you are 5 years old or if you are 85 years old. And there is one thing that everyone can play out there, and that's Monopoly. So we wanted to make Monopoly, but in the phone. Like if I was in Stockholm and if some of you is in Singapore or New York, and we could all play together and be a part of this game. This is called location-based gaming, and this was 2 years before Pokemon Go. And Pokemon Go, as you probably know, is a location-based game. Again, I had no idea how you can build a location-based game, and before I had always outsourced everything, but at this time I realized I couldn't do that. I needed to build the team here with me in Stockholm, Sweden. So I needed to hire people. And hiring programmers in Sweden is really, really expensive. But I did, so I hired 14 people, and to be able to hire 14 people, you need something. And what is that? You need money. So that again was a new thing for me. I needed to go out to the investors and talk to them and say to them, okay, I need the money, can you please invest in me? And people was again looking at me and saying like, how is she doing this? She had never been working with investors before. And the funny part here is that I didn't even have a PowerPoint presentation with me when I was meeting the investors. I was only walking into the rooms and I said to them, hey, listen up, I have this great idea. I want to make a game. It's like, you know, Monopoly, and you can chase each other on the road and on all over the world. And they said to me, how much do you need? And can you imagine that? That you have an idea and you want to build it and you need investors and they say yes. So there I was with 14 people around me and money. And I said, let's build this app now. So we started. This is a story, and I can tell you this story another time because I actually also wrote a book about it, Pivotal Moments, because I was this happy girl with the money, with the people around me, and with this great idea. But that journey also was a journey for me that sometimes I was just lying in my bed crying. Because building a company here in Sweden in tech, as I also said before, can be really hard, especially if you are a woman and you have no idea about tech companies. So I was running that company for about 2 years, and after a while I actually sold my stocks and I wanted to do new things here in Sweden. But I also wanted to have one foot in tech, because I could really see now that you don't need to be perfect in something. You don't need to be perfect in what you are doing in business. I just had this idea, both with the health app, with the app company, and then with the app game company, and I did something. So when the newspaper here was writing about me and they said I was the app queen of Sweden, I was like, this is so crazy. I'm not the app queen. But they wanted to say to me that I was that. And I think it was really, really good, because other young girls and women, they looked at me and they were inspired, because they also wanted to do something. And I was getting so many emails and phone calls from young girls, and they said to me, I have this idea and I want to build something. Sometimes it was also an app, but I have no idea how I can do it. I don't have the money, I can't program, I don't know. And I was like, that's okay. The most important thing is that you, as I also said before, you just have to surround yourself with people that has that skills. And if you have that, you can do whatever you want to do in the world. And I know that this is also a Women in Tech conference, and I think that what's most important thing for you now, it is to understand that tech isn't so hard. I know that many people say that it's really hard to build tech companies, but it isn't. And you know, one thing also that is important, it is that you don't have to listen to other people all the times, because there are so many people when you are building companies, they want to tell you do's and don'ts. And even if it's important, and even if I say that, of course, you need to surround yourself with people that has the skills that you don't have, you also have to trust and believe in yourself. It's important that you listen to yourself when you build companies, because you're going to make so many mistakes. I can assure you of that. I made mistakes that almost bankrupted me. I made mistakes when I hired people that after a while I could see that they weren't working, they were just walking around having coffee. And I was this startup girl. And for me it was like, no, you know, going on ice and just stumbling around. But I made it. And the same thing is for you, that you can make it and you can do whatever you want to. And sometimes people also ask me that, why don't you build business in makeup or fashion or something like that? And I was like, I don't know anything about makeup, so why should I build a makeup company just because I'm a girl? And they were like, yeah, okay, sorry, maybe not. And it's the same thing today. I mean, I have so many girls calling me and they're like, why aren't people helping me out when I say I want to build a tech company? And especially if I don't have any experience from tech. And I'm like, I actually don't know, but just go out there and do it. And I hope that I will be able to see you, all of you, soon. And as you probably know, I'm in Stockholm right now, and because of everything happening in the world, I wasn't able to come to you, but I'm here, and if you want to contact me, you can do that. It's the best thing to do that on the LinkedIn, and I will try to answer all of your questions you have, and of course all of the questions about tech, building businesses. How will you approach to investors? Do you need to launch in your country? Can you do it somewhere else? I have been doing this now for a couple of years, and I'm here to help you. So thank you and bye. I'm back. The thing is, I really want to get a few tips for you. Get a mentor. You need to take care of your money. So often people are getting quite big amount of money from investors. Take care of the money. Write a business plan. And sometimes I say to people, write a business plan and just look at the business plan and go like this. Today I say, write a business plan, but it's okay to rewrite the business plan. because there are so many times that you think that you have like 1 or 5 years plan, but everything will change. I mean, look right now what happened in this world. Everything is changing, and that's actually ordinary day for an entrepreneur. So take care of your finance, get a mentor, write a business plan, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's also very, very important that it's okay to make mistakes, because you are growing from mistakes. I had made so many mistakes in my life, and especially when I'm trying to build businesses. And because of the mistakes, I was able to write a book. I have been traveling around as an entrepreneur, helping other people, coaching, being a mentor. And also I have been building successful companies because of the mistakes. So that's also very, very important. And again, I can't say too often and too many times, surround yourself with people that has the skills that you don't have. And start small. You don't have to be big, quick. Start a small business. Maybe it's just you and your friend or some family members, but it's okay to start small. It's also okay to have another work. And if you have a great idea, you don't have to leave your day job. Easy, easy, one step at a time. So good luck, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye.
Yeah.
Wow, Susanna, thank you very much for this presentation, right from the heart. So take care of yourself and especially your team, rewrite your plan, take care of your finance. I think those are the things our panelists here already mentioned at the table. So Anna, I was looking at you because I saw you were really intrigued by what she was telling about also the female entrepreneurship, the fact that Susanna was inspiring the younger girls. That's also what you do at Start at KBC since a couple of years. Do you think do you see that it is more difficult to attract the female entrepreneurs? Yes?
So, well, Started at KBC was one of the first programs in the country to really address bringing more women into a program. And indeed, we started off with a much lower number of women in the program than men participating in the program. It's improving. It's still not at a place where we would say we're done on that work. It's not that it's difficult to encourage women to be an entrepreneur. I think the challenge that we as women often face in ourselves is that we need more time to make a decision, to make a big change in our lives. We often talk about this in the job world, that if women are going to apply to a job, they want to know that they have the training and the information to put themselves up into that new role. Well, it's kind of the same in the entrepreneurial world. If you're going to change from being a woman who works in tech to being a woman who works in tech and is now an entrepreneur, then we want the conversations to back that up. And so that's what we're building in this new program that we're doing together, is something that brings the inspirational women who've been there already to a regular conversation in front of women who are thinking about this as a new way of being, and also putting side by side the one-on-one coaches, because it's not just about having the inspiration and the thought that I can move into this new role. You really have to adjust your life around the fact that you're going to be working these different hours, having a very different pressure on your life and your family. So the two things together, the inspiration and the coaching, is what we're trying to do to bring more women into this world of running a business. Yeah.
That's great, and that's a great message for those who are watching. Just go, do it, try it, inspire your friends, your daughters. And that's also, I think, what Vlaio is doing, because they also pay a lot of attention to female entrepreneurship. At Vlaio, you co-hosted the Women Awards, where female entrepreneurs are put central in this award show. Do you notice that there are, for example, less nominees, or that it is more difficult to put them in the spotlight?
No, basically my idea is that women are as entrepreneurial as men are, and that there are a lot of female entrepreneurs, but we don't have the right kind of female entrepreneurs. So at this moment, we see that we have 35 until 40% of people starting a business are women. But if you look at technological, innovative startups, then we have maybe 13% of the people in the founding team are women. So that are not really the people founding the business, but forming part of the team. We had to elaborate, to take the whole team to be able to calculate 13%. So we need women to start studying STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, to be interested in that. These are future skills that are very important, especially if you want to address societal change through entrepreneurship. And so the Womet Award is a big success. We have a lot of female entrepreneurs, which is good, but we would like to have other kind of female entrepreneurs.
So if I can jump in there, there's I think also something we can do that's a bit more short-term as an action, which is I notice that a lot of women think they need tech skills in order to work in a tech startup. I think what a lot of women are very good at doing is being the conversation between the client and the tech group. We all know, we're all coaching this every day, that actually you build a product towards the customer. And if you have a woman who's in the team who's translating that need back to the engineer team, I think that's a fantastic place for many women to find their space. But we don't often talk about that. So women often opt themselves out as I don't have the skill set and therefore I don't see my place in this. So how we can accelerate that a bit more, I think, is by having more people who are very experienced in tech lend the conversation to give the knowledge to be in those more sales, product development roles. And I think in that way we can more quickly bring women into that space than waiting for the education system, which is a very long-term solution.
I think everybody's saying you have to be more customer-centric and so on. This is the right spot where we, they're most of the time very customer-centric and don't put a techie in front of the customer, let's say, but building these bridges. I think we are changing it little by little. I see it in my environment, I'm hopeful for it, but I think, and let's make a change there together also with the program. Yeah.
Okay, so one step at a time, but hopeful. That's a clear message, I think. Yeah, I also remember Susan saying, okay, it is really difficult for women becoming in a tech company, especially, no, it is real, excuse me. She said building a company in tech is difficult, especially in Sweden. And then she also mentioned, especially as a woman. Maybe, Thierry, is there a difference, men, women?
I think to my point of view, women are more, or could be, but are more successful after the first moment. I think it's already difficult for a guy to take the decision to leave his job to be an entrepreneur, because it's like, like people like to have the security, and then it's very difficult to leave your security and say, hey, from now on, I'm going to be my own boss, which means I'm going to be also responsible for my own salary, right? Certainly in this moment. And then for a woman, I think it's even more than that. I think they need to be pushed at the beginning even more than the guy for different reasons. First reason is what you said. I think a woman needs to know 99%. She needs to know that she has 99% of the skills needed to be able to do it. A guy will need maybe 70%. So that's already one thing. And then the second thing is also is that she maybe also need to say, okay, you know what? I have a job which I can control. I go on my job from, let's say, 8 to 5. I can get and pick up the kids, and so forth. And so they have this kind of, let's say, luxury in the sense of, like softness and so forth. And to make then the jump to be an entrepreneur, it's quite difficult. Once they did it, very often you can see that the women are more motivated, are more into it, are more, and certainly in the team, are actually the driving force behind the small teams. So I think it's more like, okay, helping them to make the first step.
I think one of the things that we see is that that the venture capitalist world is maybe a very masculine world, and that the access to finance for female founders in a startup might be something that we have to work on.
But that's changing. That's changing because I think you have a lot of business angels and VCs who are actually looking also now for specific segments and, for example, a woman CEO or woman in the team to actually do the investment. So on one side, it's true. I think so far it was like this, but it can be also an opportunity for women to raise the money that actually some specific fund will specialize for having more women driving the entrepreneurship.
For this, we should all look into India, because India is one of the few countries in the world where actually more women are entrepreneurs and more women are working in IT than men. So I'm not sure why, so don't ask me why, but it's true. So India is one of the leading countries in the world in that regard.
I believe also Belgium for that. We know that Belgium is not really good for entrepreneurship. That's for sure. And then we know also that 80%, or more than 70% of the people have a normal, let's say, standard employee salary, or so it's very difficult when you have already something. When you earn already, I say something more than 2,000 euro a month, to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to say, okay, maybe I'm going to earn more, or maybe, but to change their life, and then of course the impact that it has on the family. And that makes it very difficult, because in India, I think, you don't really have like the 2,000 euro like this. So it's like already the difficulty to get something out of the normality is a lot easier.
Same goes for a lot of African countries, by the way.
Exactly.
When you look at Nigeria, the number of female entrepreneurs is astonishing. So, and they're very good at it as well.
Okay, some nice tips, and maybe we should encourage the younger students and pupils already to think about
any age
entrepreneurship. Someone who also did it is our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen. His message is very clear: stay focused or stay in your home market. I'm talking about going abroad and going international, because he will take us into the international journey he experienced with Avantida. It is a cloud service provider focusing really on intelligent use of containers. So I would like to say he's not only contributing to entrepreneurship and even international entrepreneurship, he's also contributing to a cleaner environment. Thanks for that, dear Luc de Klerk, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is for you, Luc de Klerk.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I never imagined being an entrepreneur. When I told my mum 20 years ago that I would become shareholder in a company, she almost had a heart attack. She said, Luc, you have a good job, what are you doing? Now at my third startup, so I think I've done some entrepreneurship in the meantime. But this is a bit my professional trajectory. After a couple of years in corporate, I decided to launch my own startup with my good friend Peter Hinzen, and we had a dream. We said, let's build a platform to enable TV stations to broadcast over the internet. Let's build that 20 years ago. We won the award for the best startup of the year. We went on stages. We had the €1 million A round. I mean, we did lots of things. We only missed one thing: customers, right? And we built a great technology, but it was far too early. The bandwidth wasn't there. People didn't see it. And we managed to get some customers, but not enough to get a second round. So the company was folded. It was purchased by Proximus. And I decided, after 3 months sleep, because I had to recover from that journey, I decided to go back in the corporate world. And I worked for 2 family companies. And what I learned there was very simple: how to spend money. There was simple logic. You can only spend €1 once. Think very carefully whether you put it left or right. Once it's spent, right? And from that moment on, I become very cautiously on managing cash and managing expenses. So, and as you said, Thierry, I mean, in 2013, we saw a huge market, logistics. We said, oh, logistics. They're 20 years behind technology. We should be able to do something in logistics. And then we said, yeah, but logistics, it's too big. Let's do container logistics. Another big opportunity. Without too much knowledge, we jumped into it. And we said, but let's build a company that is sellable within 5 years. And sellable meant recurring revenue, nice customer base, and international. And we said, let's try and build that. I sold the company 2 years ago. And now, a couple of months ago, in March 2020, I did a new startup, right? So we're starting all over again, because it's in my passion to build a dream. And this was our world when we started. This is a map of the North Sea. As we speak, this is a number of vessels currently floating around with goods on there, right? Everything you buy online sits on one of these vessels. And we said, oh, fantastic. But there are also a lot of empty containers. We found out by talking to somebody in a bar that 1 out of 3 containers was empty. And we said, Jesus, they're empty. They're running around on the roads, they're on these ships. Why can't we avoid that? Because you would reduce CO2, you would have let's tell that story. We started telling that story about the green impact. Nobody listened. Nobody cared. We said, come on, we have to do something. Let's build a cool platform. And we had tech guys, and they said, look, this is what we're going to build. We're going to build a platform to avoid all empty containers in the world. We said, we're going to do artificial intelligence. We're going to do IoT because we can know where they are. We can do all this cool stuff. And we're going to sell it to everybody. We said, okay, cool. So we started bringing that story. And what I learned when you bring that story, if you're selling 100,000 euro software, don't bother about it. Nobody listens. Either it has to cost 10 million, and then they listen, or you have to give it away, right? So we started a company, and the company was going nowhere. Nowhere. We had some customers, we had some revenue, but we weren't going anywhere. And we said, we're doing something wrong. We haven't told about the problem. And that's when you said, Thierry, it was all about the business model. Suddenly we said, let's take out of that whole space of containers, let's take one little bit. A reuse of an empty container. Let's take one little aspect of that whole process. Let's do that, and let's build the Airbnb for containers. What if the owner of the container could make money from an empty box? And everybody's looking at me saying, Luke, you are completely crazy. I said, no, let's test this. And we went out and we told to the owner of the box, we said, what if you could make money from your empty box? And they were like, wow, that would be cool, because it's costing a huge amount of money. It's costing them about 30 billion euros a year to put the empty boxes in the right place. And we said, if we can reduce the cost, we'd be happy. He said, no, reducing cost for us is a given. How can you make money on top of reducing the cost? We were like, wow, how are you going to do that? Well, what we built is 3 request screens. It's a simple fill-in format. That's what we built. And when you show the platform, people say, what are these difficult algorithms, Luke? That's not there. It's simple. It's 3 request screens. The owner of the box in the back had to say, yes, I approve, no, I don't approve. And we did a revenue sharing model with them. We say, guys, there is no upfront cost, right? 0, right? There is no minimum volume. There is no subscription. If you make money, we make money. Like Airbnb, 80-20. 80% for you as the owner, 20% for us. And then they said, no entry barriers. Fantastic. Let's give these guys, let's give the chance. You never know that it works. And that's how we get to do things, but not by doing complex things, but also by picking a side. We said, in market, you can't be everything to everybody. You have to pick a side. And we said, I'm a lazy sales guy. We said, let's pick the ocean lines. There are only 20 there. So only do sell to 20 companies, not 200,000 logistics companies. And that's what we did. And this is how it looked. This is a very simple, easy-to-use cloud platform. Anybody can understand it. Anybody can use it. Anybody could build it, by the way. Right? To build this would take 2 months. To build this, it's that simple. But that was what we had the lock-in with the owner of the box. We said, guys, we're going to make you money. And they said, okay, look, we believe you. Let's try this in Antwerp. And we tried this in Antwerp. And these are the top 10 ocean lines. They're all multi-billion-dollar companies. Maersk Line is the biggest one, to give you an idea. They're doing 30 billion euros only in container shipping. And we started in Belgium. And then we said, Holland is next. Rotterdam, that's only 70 kilometers from Antwerp. Rotterdam is next. Wow, what a different world Rotterdam is from Antwerp. Even in logistics, right? And there we got the first impression that the Dutch people said, yeah, but this thing, we work a bit differently in logistics. Can't you change the platform? Or can't you add this? We said, no. We're going to stick to what we have because it works in Antwerp. It should work in Rotterdam as well. And eventually, 6 months later, they started using it. But then came the big challenge, what's next? And we did a whole study of what countries could be interesting in volume. And we got a top 30. And we said, Jesus, how are we going to start? And as we heard before, don't do 3 countries at a time. So we say, let's do Germany. And everybody said to us, Luke, Germany, don't do Germany. It will never work there. We said, we'll prove you wrong, right? As you do as an entrepreneur. So we went to Germany. We signed up 2 ocean lines. And then we launched. And we did the communication with the PR agency, the European PR agency, as you do, a nice retainer fee. And nothing happened. We got a few registrations, but no money was spent on the platform. And we said, why is nobody spending money? Because day 1, 0, day 2, 0, day 3, 0, nothing. And we're like, we've done something wrong. We said, let's go out to the companies that registered on the platform but haven't spent money. So we went out to them, we said, why are you not spending money? And they said, yes, but we have to transfer money to a Belgian bank account. And we said, yeah, but this is Europe. This is SEPA. I mean, it says BE in the bank account. No, we don't trust it. we need a German bank account. And we're like, okay, cool. Then you try to establish a bank account in Germany. That takes a bit of time. But once the German bank account is from Commerzbank, they said, yeah, sure, we can pay. So often it's finding out why is something not working in a country. What we learned from Germany is doing a PR with a communication agency is a waste of money. For Italy, we said we're going to do differently. We asked to one of our customers that in Italy, who would be a good freelance PR person that knows the industry really well? And they said, Manuela. Cool. Manuela charged 500 euros for a press release and for interviews with the journalist. 500 euros per instance. She did a magnificent job. We worked with her for a couple of years. When we launched in Geneva, she managed to get the top 40 transport companies from Geneva into a meeting room to listen to us, right? 500 euros again. I mean, we're trying to do country by country, and some countries were really surprising. Italy, huge potential, but very difficult to convince these people culturally. Poland, we thought would be not that big volume. It was our second biggest country in 6 weeks' time, Poland, when we launched in Poland. But one more ambition. I said, once in my life, I want to launch in the USA. Whatever happens, I want to be in the USA once in my life with a company. It took us 2.5 years to launch in the USA. It took somebody from us 4 months to sit in Miami to do the sales in the USA to convince these ocean lines. But we did it, and it was a very, very cool journey because the USA is huge. We came across a lot of obstacles, and this is what you see here. This is our revenue over the time, right, when we started. You see, to go from 26,000 to 200,000 euros a month was a big struggle, was really tough. And managing cash, because we chose not to go the VC route. We did this with our own money, right, and with the help of the banks. In the end, we got €1 million from the banks in straight loan. And we knew that this was critical. Here was critical in terms of cash, and we needed a boost in volume. And then I think sometimes you're lucky. We got this break, we got this suddenly increase because of 3 major ocean lines that, now we're going to jump into it because we see it works. And you get this jump, and suddenly you're cruising down the line. Then it becomes a lot easier. We did after with Mexico, we did Japan, we did Korea, we did Taiwan, we did all these countries. How? Because we proved that it works in one country, and these ocean lines, they're global, so they did one country after another. I said, yeah, now we're ready for Japan, Luke. How can you help us in Japan? Because they saw, we proved them that it generates revenue. For them, it was pure profit. They said, that business model, why haven't we thought about it ourselves? It's so simple. And that's my key message. Keep it simple. Don't make it too difficult. I see companies that are over-engineering their solution, that I go like, why are you over-engineering it? You haven't even sold one. Sell something that works. Do an MVP. My new company, we built the MVP for 65,000 euros. And it works. It's in production. We have 200 customers on there with digital wallet. It's costing us 6,000 euros. That's what it costs, but it works. We know we have to invest a lot more to bring it up to a scalable solution, but for an MVP, to put it on the market, don't spend hundreds of thousands on features that nobody will ever use. Keep it simple, keep it basic, and especially, that's also my lesson, you don't make a saleable company by being on a stage. You make a company sellable because you have great customers. So I now spend time with my customers, I spend time with my bankers to manage the cash, and that's the only thing I do. Convince customers and listen to them. We're now doing the same with the new startup, Synvio. It took us 3 months to find the right focus. And again, it's a simple concept, a simple digital wallet, and hopefully we can turn it into success. But it's a matter of being persistent, being focused, because in every country you can get distracted by local differences, cultural things. Please stay, if your belief is right, and you've proven it in 2 or 3 countries, it will work in other countries as well. But stay focused, because otherwise you can get easily distracted. And be persistent, keep pushing. It's tough, it's hard, it's not easy on you, on your family, but in the end, we sold the company successfully in 2017. We stayed on for 2 years, as you do, in an earn-out, and now on to the next venture. So to finish up, I say, guys, keep on going, go hard, and be successful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, dear Luc. Yeah, KISS principle. Keep it short and simple. So that's what we will keep in mind. mind. So a great keynote, according to me, very enthusiastic, very eager to succeed in the next step. Gert, how did you two met? It was some time ago, or?
Yeah, how did I meet Luc?
Yes.
How did we get here, Luc? I think we met each other 3 years ago. I went to Luc's office at Avantida in Antwerp at that time. It's 2017, and of course I have also a background in logistics innovation, so there was quickly a connection there. And since then, Luc has been a mentor at Netwerk Ondernemen for the past 3 years. Has been mentoring Kevin and then also Gunther from Get Driven. I think, yeah, I mean, if you, it has been said already several times, but if you have a mentor with this kind of experience, who's still not taking over your business and saying what to do, but more like a sounding board, but still have a big baggage with him of a lot of things he has seen, yeah, then that's very valuable for each startup or scale-up.
Yeah, it works both ways. As a mentor, you hope that the mentee learns something from you, but also the other way around. Because I'm also still an entrepreneur, so I also can still learn things from the younger generation, how they look at things. So for me, that's a nice interaction that you have with each other, and you can learn from each other, and that's for me also the benefit of being part of Netwerk Ondernemen.
I think that's correct what you said, and especially the younger generation is talking about everything as a service. We have mobility as a service. According to you, it is also software as a service. So maybe, I think, Frederik, that you are the right person. If we are talking about software as a service, what advice could you give them to scale internationally?
Well, software as a service companies, of course, are by default international companies. Mm-hmm. So what I would advise them, do your homework. Luc already mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. Do your homework, gather data about the markets that you want to target, experiment with those markets and see what works with the minimal amount of investment. And then when you see which market works and which don't, you could raise your investments in the markets that work and slowly build up your presence there. First by putting boots on the ground, in a later stage maybe open an office there, but do it slowly and indeed, as Luc already mentioned, choose the markets that are right for you and that work for you. That's very important. Also, keep in mind, if you really want to conquer an international market, you must allocate enough resources. Because if you really want to do something in an international market and you don't have enough resources there, it will not work. So keep in mind, it will cost you money.
So
do your homework.
Like a little trier and
Yes, follow your customer.
Yeah,
I think you should try and follow
error.
your customer.
Indeed.
If you have a good customer in Belgium that's also active in, let's say, Austria, see what you can do something from in Austria. I mean, that's also a very simple way of trying to find your way internationally.
That's very good advice as well. Absolutely. Yeah.
But you make it seem very simple, actually.
Yes.
But is it that simple?
Yeah. If you listen to your customers, then that's what it starts. Listen to your customers. You can be convinced you're an idea, but if you don't, then are open to listen and to adapt, then you may as well just go and do something else, because it's just listening to the customers and doing a good job for your first customer. Your first customer is your reference customer. If you're doing a lousy job, well, but the first international customer, in the end, we were brought to the HQ of these global, different story of a teller, but that's fine. You've done a good job locally, so there is no hesitation. But serve your customers and listen to them. That's key for me.
Even Ferrari changed the red color.
Yeah.
We are working with a young startup that has PSA, the Port Authority of Singapore, as a customer in Antwerp, and they are following the customer, and now they are already active in Singapore as well. So,
absolutely, that's
what happens.
There are so many entrepreneurs that think that internationalizing means going towards the USA, and I really enjoyed in your story that you said I wanted to get it, but it wasn't your country number 2 or 3. No. It was on the trajectory.
Number 14.
Yeah, and it's really. I can see the logic in that for going at it much later. There's such a protective country about their own entrepreneurs, and frankly, there's just big startups there who have an enormous market to tap first. In order to get seen above that, it's very hard to do. One of the things I'd love to see the Belgian market do more is go and tackle, actually, you said it, Asia.
Absolutely.
more.
Yeah.
Because I think there is some hugely undertapped potential for Europe. They have a huge amount of respect for the technology and the teams that we build in Europe, and we just don't investigate it enough.
There are enormous possibilities for Belgian scale-ups in Southeast Asia, but a lot of those companies don't realize that. So that's up to us to tell them that they should look into those areas as well.
Which countries would you advise? Because you're not talking about China.
Not really. There are more opportunities for scale-ups, I think, in the Southeast Asian countries. Like Indonesia is a booming market. Thailand, Vietnam are booming markets. I mean, but there are so many opportunities, but Belgian scale-ups don't realize that all.
But scale-up doesn't mean internationalization. I think for me there is a big difference. I mean, don't forget that what you have to take into account when you build your startup is the value. You have two types of value in a startup or in any company. You have what I call the normal value, which is a book value, where you calculate the revenue and you make a multiplier. But you have also a virtual value. And this virtual value is based on two things, or the value that the shareholder or the potential VC is ready to invest, or the value that a competitor is ready to give for your company. So from time to time, I like internationalization, and I think a lot of startups like only the word internationalization. And if you tell them, let's go to Singapore, they will say, yes, let's go to Singapore, right? But on the other side, I think if you have even a SaaS, or even a software as a service company, who's focusing on one industry, takes 70% of a market, which is very vertical, and then has enormous potential value for a competition from Germany. So it's all depending also on the alignment, but the value of your company doesn't have to go through internationalization. You have to think also about how do you leverage the value of your company based on the product that you have and the potential penetration that you can do. And I think it's overlooked a lot, even in Belgium, to go only to Belgium, Netherlands, France and Germany. Because, I mean, to be honest with you, we are a very generous country with very high price, with high margin. So if you have 70% of a market share in the SaaS on a specific vertical in these 4 countries, believe me, your value
yes, of course. But that's what we say, do your homework. So
do your homework.
Do your homework.
Gert, I think we are ready for Mentor Talks 3.0. What do you think? Yes?
Hope for next year.
Voilà, we are ready. I'm ready and I'm staying in Belgium. So, well, I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the second part and the end of the Mentor Talks 2.0. First of all, thank you for Netwerk Ondernemen and Startup KBC for organizing this lovely evening and for having us here at the table. Also, thank you very much, dear keynote speakers, dear panelists. I would also like to mention also our partners, very important. Thank you very much for Vlaams Agentschap Innoveren en Ondernemen, PwC, Total, Pulse Foundation en SBB. Dank je wel van harte. Nog belangrijker, dank je wel jullie vanuit de bubbel of vanuit de zetel en stoel achter de bureau thuis. Ik hoop dat jullie ervan genoten hebben, dat jullie heel veel inspiratie opgedaan hebben, gemotiveerd zijn om ervoor te gaan. En wat mij betreft zou ik gewoon willen zeggen, stay safe, stay healthy, boost your business and surf on your success. Enjoy.
Yeah.